Hey all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kritika Dadich, your reader, and I am reading Legends of Pensam by Mamang Dai. So today we'll be reading fifth subchapter of the third chapter, and the name of fifth subchapter is Rights of Love. Let's get started. Of all the stories I had heard from Hoxo, I could sense that he brought the most affection and imagination to incidents that concerned Ninam. To him, she was like the river, constant, nurturing, self possessed. Like the river, she was the soul of our land. He had never seen Ninam, only imagined her through the free spirit, good sense and warm eyes of her daughter Lucy, who became his wife. It was fire that brought them together. In the old days, fire watching had been a secret duty. All young men were expected to give their time, taking turns to stay together in the bango, the boys' dormitory, and keep vigil through the night. The old men and women took up this duty during the day, when they also minded the young children while their parents were away in the fields. One night, a terrible fire broke out in Motam village. The people of Doyang were aroused by the sound of explosions. Running up to the highest point and looking across the river in the darkness, they saw what appeared to be an island of fire dancing and sliding on the treetop. It's a fire, they shouted. They could almost hear the screams of men and animals, and they stood for a long time shouting into the wind and calling on the god to save the poor villagers. 20 houses were completely gutted, one house leaping like a ball of flame onto the other until the villagers had moved boulders and trees with superhuman strength to erect a barricade against the angry fire spirit. The village had to perform special rituals to cleanse itself of the tragedy. And like in all other villages, clansmen from far away, on hearing the news, had hurried to help rebuild the destroyed houses. The new dwellings were ready within a week, and except for the charred branches of some old trees, visitors to the place would not have seen any trace of the devastation. It was at this time that Hoxo had volunteered to join a band of youth who were setting out to keep the fire vigil in Motam village. This was a gesture of solidarity, and since Rakat was also going, the two friends made their first journey across the river together. The village of Motam was perched high on a plateau that overlooked the surrounding hills. Here, the land opened out into wide, rolling slopes, while even taller mountains, glistening with snow, girdled the village itself. These were the mountains where the wild aconite grew. Hoxo recalled that this had been one of his happiest time. Every night the boys gathered in the bango and lolled around the fire. Sometimes, in a fit of exuberance, they would march through the village, swinging the hurricane lamp and calling, "Watch your fire, watch, watch, everybody watch your fires." One unforgettable night, Hoxo and Rakat rushed into a house, thinking the fire was burning too brightly for such a late hour. Because they had panicked, the memory of the great fire was still fresh in their mind. They did not call out or ask permission to enter. They leaped up onto the bamboo platform and peered in. Hoxo saw a young girl holding aloft what looked like a book under a pole from which was hung a hurricane lamp. Just like the one he was carrying, someone grunted from the corner, and the girl immediately dropped the book with a thud. What? Who's there? Hoxo realized he was in the house of Cow and felt his face burning. What with all the new houses in the village, they had failed to recognize the famous house of Ninam and Cow. This must be their daughter. It's the way things happen, Hoxo reminded me, laughing. He would not say any more, but everyone knew the story. Hoxo and Rocket had mumbled something, and Cow had invited them in. Since they had woken him up, but Lucy, the daughter, had made no attempt to conceal her displeasure at their rude intrusions. Lucy had had a solitary childhood. She grew up in a house that was built in the traditional style with a projecting bamboo veranda perched on stilts. A unique extension to the house was a long room made of solid wood that Cow had designed for Neil. The room even contained some wicker chair and a tin trunk draped with cloth had been turned into another seat. This trunk was a treasure trove that Lucy often explored avidly, and the book she had been staring at in the light of hurricane lamp. He had come out of this. KP this. Keep this. This is the box of stories. Her mother had told her, you can shape them, color them, and pull them out any time. She had shown the child Lucy the small box with the pink jade lid that smelled sweet and comforting, and he had held up the big copper colored binocular for her to peer through. This was a gift that David had left for Ninam's father. It was stamped 1902, and for a long time it had been hung on the high rafters along with the firewood and other household paraphernalia because Ninam had been too shy to touch it and so gone perhaps too angry. It must have been her mother who had finally wrapped it up in newspaper and put into the cane basket from where Ninam had retrieved it and pulled it into the tin trunk before she was married to Cow. Lucy had very faint stories of her mother. She remembered her as being active and happy. She looked after the house and called out to the animal every evening in a particular tone that went something like, yo, yo, yay. She swept the leaves and cleared the pineapple patch. She prodded the earth expertly and prepared it for planting ginger. That was what Lucy remembered, though she also hinted that sometimes her mother appeared withdrawn, somewhere far away, but then she couldn't really be sure, she said, because she was a little child then. In her heart, Nina might have wondered sometimes at her own life, but she never spoke of the past before she met Carl. In the beginning, there might have been a feeling of formality between husband and wife. Ninam by nature could be remote and unreachable, but Carl knew she was a passionate woman when she cried out and clutched at him. It was these moments that moved Cow. Sometimes their lovemaking was like molestation. He was tormented by thoughts of her past. He had seen her naked so many times and still she was shy. He watched her keenly, stripping her, exploring her, pulling her naked body up, and she felt all his strength and passion entering her and expanding her womb. Yet when he spoke, she closed her eyes to his pleading gaze and never told him what she wanted. It was after the birth of Lozi that Neenam became really close to Cow. Now she talked more, and sometimes she sang loudly in the house. This made Cow truly happy. She Even he stared at his baby daughter and worried about her and Neenam so much that in the end he called her for Neenam's mother to come and live with them for a while. The old woman was only too happy to oblige. She arrived, brisk and beaming, and spent every moment of her stay with her granddaughter. She fussed and suggested so many things that Cow began to be afraid, while the old woman told him that nothing could happen to the child, for she was blessed, though her mother, by the great spirits. Hush, she groaned, hush. A treasure, a treasure. Whose little baby are you? Your mother came from the land of fish and stars. Oh, little baby, go to sleep. Hush. Ninam apparently was a gift from the mythical land among the stars that was the dwelling place of a beautiful bride, also known as the celestial aunt, who came down to earth to bless the civilization of men with wisdom and grace. Ninam's mother had already lost two siblings before her, and she had been worried that she would have no children. A shaman had been called in during an elaborate ritual. He had invoked the spirits of the celestial aunt to bless the couple with a beautiful child. Sometimes later, the girl Neenam had been born, happy to be with her daughter and granddaughter now. The old woman showed no sign of wanting to return to her old man, Sogong, who was shaky with drink but had enough strength and standing to call out to the village boys. Hey, come and pick me up at once. I'm here at the bottom of the hill. Hurry up and bring a blanket with you. She might have ignored him forever, so engrossed was she with the baby. Had it not been for the earth silently sliding and shifting, preparing for an act of violence that was to change the lives and the landscape of the region forever. Late one evening, all the villages of the land were startled by the thunder of hoofs crashing through the jungle. Hundreds of mithans had been running wildly to reach their owners, and now they stood before the surprised villagers, snorting and trembling in a sweat of panic. So that's all, my dear. Remaining part, I will read it in the next video. Till now, enjoy this. And if you like it, please like it, share it, subscribe it. Till then, bye bye. Take care. Bye bye.